Want to know the secret to calls to action that actually convert? Let me tell you, it's not guessing, it's testing. And here's the good news. You don't need to be a data scientist and or use expensive conversion rate optimization tools to test and measure call to action performance. Let me show you what I mean. But before I do that, let me establish a couple of before you test fundamentals. Number one, establish your baseline. What this means is your current performance metrics before you start changing anything. These could be macro business level numbers like number of leads you get, number of customers you have, current sales revenue levels, or could be subscriber levels, followers. It depends what type of content you're creating. But you pick a recent period, such as a month or a quarter, and you start making notes accordingly. At a micro level, we're talking about the actual call to action that we're looking to change. This could be current views, this could be clicks, it could be number of leads that have come from that call to action, it could be conversion rates, things like that. Again, document and date your baseline metrics. The second fundamental is to make sure that you apply the one change rule. What we mean here is that one of the common mistakes to avoid is that too many changes can dilute what you learn. Because when you see either an increase or a decrease in performance, you can't attribute it to any particular change. So keep your tests nice and clean. One recommendation we make is to test in pairs. So you can have multiple tests running, but you test in nice clean pairs where you might test some headlines, you might test some words, you might test some buttons, but you're just testing that single component, one against another. So A versus B, and then in another test, you're testing C versus D. The beauty of this is you can eliminate the worst performing ones and then combine your best performing ones into a stronger CTA and test other things. Now let's look at 3 essential split tests that can help you overcome the too soon, too plain, and too many common mistakes we shared in our last video. Number 1, too soon timing tests. For example, the one that fires before you've even digested what's on the page. Here's a test you can use to find out if this particular mistake is affecting your CTAs. We're on a test page here, and as you can see by this call to action at the top, it says variation D. So I can tell you on this demo page, the testing that's taking place is actually variation A, B, C, and D. I'll just refresh it and a new one might come up. You can see variation D come up this time. But the example I wanted to show you with the too soon is this is configured to come up after 0 seconds. So when we're talking about too soon, imagine this call to action being any other type of call to action where maybe it took over the page or popped up before you'd read anything and say this is a test page. No, I don't like to use live sites at the fear of embarrassing them or without permission. So what can we do to test that? By the way, we make all of these call to actions on a platform called ConvertBox, which is an amazing CTA optimization tool. I'm not going to go into the details of that right now. As you see, we're on the staging site. The demo is a sticky bar, and you can see here the test variations of variation A, variation B, variation C, and variation D. But let me just take you back to A as an example and show you how this one is configured. And this one is configured to show on a page for 0 seconds once the page is fully loaded. But what you could do as a test here is simply have variation A show after 0 seconds. You'd have variation B show after 10 seconds, variation C after 20 seconds, and variation D after 30 seconds. Now you can change all of those to anything you like. The point is you're just making a very specific test to see if the CTA would perform better at different timing points. In this current test, they're testing the different variations with the picture. 2 have the picture, 1 has a button, 1 doesn't. And here, no picture, 1 has a button and 1 doesn't. But if you're doing a timing test, you would know that variation A is loading after 0 seconds, variation B is 10 seconds, 20 seconds, and 30 seconds, and you would get a feel for which one is working best. So look here, the stats on variation C, without this little personalized picture, the stats for these 2 versions are way better. So you can clearly see a CTA performing better based on a split test. Next, the 2 plane color test. In our previous video, we shared a quick fix to this mistake was to find a contrasting but associated color that doesn't already exist on your page or site and add that to the primary CTA you want clicked. Where often this simply involves testing different button colors. In this example, we have a very simple CTA button that could appear anywhere on a website. I won't show you the nuances and technicalities of how this particular one's set up. I just want to show you how easy it is to test different things. So here we've got variation A in blue, free SEO audit. And if we go to variation G, free SEO audit in green. We are actually testing two different things on this one because we're testing whether a free chat gets more traction than free SEO audit. As you can see, one's set up to compare colors and the other one's set up to compare text. Very simple. Check the stats, see which pair is performing best, and then you can consolidate that CTA and move on to the next thing to test and measure. Finally, the too many test. Different CTA formats for different needs. You can see here we're on another test page, and I'm just going to use this as an example to show you the variety of CTAs that can pop up. And this isn't all of it, but it's just an example. So I'll just refresh it so you see it from scratch. And just note over here at the moment, you've got an orange one, CTA variation A, with some blue text. Down here, you've got variation D with some white text on a black button with a headline. There's lots going on this page. I'm just going to refresh. You can see here we got a sticky bar was triggered straight away with a call to action. This one over here is now purple. This one is now red. We've got 3 CTA buttons going on down here. Let's close this one. So we're on the website. We're looking at the content, but already there are competing CTAs. We scroll down a little bit and then, oh, whoops, a pop-up has just come out. So we're not interested in that. We close that. We scroll down a bit further. Oh, now we have a different type of pop-up comes up in our face. We close that. We scroll down even further. Oh, wow. And another one takes over all our page. So you can see there are all different types of CTAs. And if that was a live page and you were trying to digest the content, there are many competing CTAs that are not getting the attention they deserve. The bad news is that some live websites have this happening as part of a normal and ultimately very poor user experience. Make sure that's not your website. Quick reminder, testing doesn't have to be complicated, it just has to be consistent. The good news is every test is a micro win because it can tell you what is working and what could be improved. That's gold, folks. Remember this too. The massive advantage of CTA optimization is that you can't go backward. If a split test reveals a clear winner, you go with that. If not, you stick with the original or keep trying more tests. Now join me in the next video where I'll show you several pro tips you can use to enable untapped growth in your business through optimizing CTAs. See you in the next video.